Are you curious about the surprises an American expatriate found during her early years in Indonesia? Living in Indonesia as an American expat has been full of surprises for me. In this video, I want to share some memories that have reminded me about why I didn't go back to the United States when my short-term job finished or when my marriage ended. I stayed. My adventure here all started when I was offered a 3-month job in Indonesia. I didn't think twice. I knew nothing about Indonesia, but I had a job, and that was enough to get me flying away from the US to Indonesia. As an American, I knew there would be differences, yeah, but I didn't anticipate just how much this country would captivate me and teach me. So let me walk you through some of the most surprising things I found here. And just to be clear, some of these things would never happen today. But it was Christmas Eve, 1982 when I arrived here. And things here were a lot different then. And if you watch until the very end of this video, you'll find out which thing annoyed me the most. First of all, my new employer put me up in the Kartika Chandra Hotel for 10 days. That was while the office was closed for the Christmas and New Year holidays. That wasn't very surprising, no. But when other American employees invited me to Christmas dinner at their home, they all said that I should never go out of the hotel on my own, that it wasn't safe for a Western woman. Well, that was totally against my usual traveling style. But I figured, gee, they must know what they're talking about. They've been living there for several years already. Oh my God, what in the world had I gotten myself into? So what did I do? Well, I had terrible jet lag, and I just wanted to sleep all the time. So as much as I didn't like their advice, I followed it and stayed in the hotel for 10 long, miserable days. What a horrible introduction to this country. And what horrible advice from those foolish Americans. I soon found out that Jakarta was far safer than Chicago, where I came from. After the 10 days, my employer moved me into a company house in Pulau Mas that I shared with another American woman. And there, they had 2 young men to do all the housework. Well, let me tell you, I was appalled to have household help. I was a young adult in the 60s, hippie times, and I leaned toward egalitarian ways. So when the job ended and I was ready to move into a house on my own in Tibet Timur, I said, I'll take care of everything myself. But the day before I was going to move in, I realized, oh my God, I didn't know how to do anything. So I quickly asked one of these young men to find someone fast, someone who could help me get a refrigerator, a stove, all my stuff moved to the new place, and someone who knew all the processes for paying bills. No online bills at that time. Yes, my hippie self gave in and I hired someone. Hi, I'm Kate, a consultant about expat living. Welcome to my YouTube channel, KateGypsy. It has videos to encourage people to break free from their routines and create a more adventurous lifestyle for themselves. I myself did that back in 1982 when I took that short-term job in Indonesia. I was just 38 at that time, and I'm still here living my best life 42 years later. A happy girl. A couple of months after starting work, an American colleague, an Indonesian employee named Andy, his wife, and I rented a car to take a trip to Yogyakarta. On the way, we made a surprising detour to Sukabumi to visit some of Andy's relatives. They weren't expecting us, but were very happy to see us. During the course of our visit, I complimented them on a couple of small statues sitting on top of the television. And Andy said his uncle had made them with scraps of old metal. So I told the uncle just how nice I thought they were. Then when we were ready to depart, the uncle presented me with a nicely wrapped package. And of course, you know what was inside, those two little statues. That was such a surprise. Andy later explained to me that when you tell someone you like something of theirs, they are very likely to give it to you. So I learned to be very sparing with my compliments after that. I felt really bad that I hadn't given them anything. In other videos, I've already mentioned how friendly and welcoming Indonesians are. And one of my next encounters proved that to be absolutely true. I had 2 cats when I was living in Chicago, and I was only going for 3 months, so a friend graciously said she'd take care of them while I was gone. After all, I'd be back just a few months later. But when those 3 months ended, and I realized that, no, I wasn't returning to the US, I asked my friend to send them to me. And she did that. Now, it's important to remember that this was 1983 at this point, because what happened then would never happen today. I received a notice when my precious cats were at the airport, and I went to get them. I was shocked when the airport worker asked me to pay a customs fee. I hadn't expected that and hadn't brought any money. And of course, we didn't have bank debit cards at that point. What was I going to do? He insisted that I couldn't take my cats without paying the fee. I began to cry. And as soon as he saw my tears, he very kindly said, "You can take the cats with you right away." That kindness could never happen now that everything is in the computer. He wouldn't get away with doing that again, in these days anyhow. In addition to being pleasant and kind, Indonesians will never stop you from taking their photo. In fact, they love having their photo taken. And they will thank you for doing it, even though they're never going to see it. Very unlike what travelers find in many other countries. And something else. Since I'm an introvert, I found it just a bit disconcerting that people always talk to you. And not just because I'm a foreigner. They talk to everyone. When I would take a bus in Jakarta with an Indonesian friend, within seconds, he was talking to the people next to us on the bus as if they had known each other all their lives. The first time that happened, I asked him, "Did you know those people before?" "No, they were just chatting." So most of the things I've mentioned so far are very positive, right? Well, now it's time for the thing that really, really annoyed me. And that is that Indonesians often ask the same question over and over and over. I'd give the same answer every time. And eventually I'd say very emphatically, "I've given you the same answer every time you asked, and I will continue giving you the same answer." Here's an example. In 1990, I was working on a project to improve the English of government employees who were going overseas to an English-speaking university. The number of students was increasing, and we needed more classroom space. So my boss, our bigger boss, and I were at the office of the person who could make that happen, could give us extra classroom space. So we sat down and had some tea and the necessary chit-chat. Eventually, we were asked what we needed. My boss explained that we needed to rent more classroom space. Then immediately, more chit-chat for several minutes. And then we were once again asked what we needed. Why had we come to visit? My boss explained again very clearly, and this happened a few more times, and my boss always explained it very clearly. Well, in the end, we actually did get more classroom space. But later on, my boss asked me why this intelligent man, who had a PhD from an American university, would ask us the same question over and over and over. By that time, I had experienced the same issue many times and had been told that, well, giving the correct answer the first time just isn't culturally acceptable. So that's why it's necessary to ask several times so that you can finally get to the real answer. I'm still not sure if that's the truth, but I have to tell you, that drove me absolutely crazy. Now, please remember that these events all happened many years ago, and things have changed a lot over the years. And most of them wouldn't happen today. So that's just a little of what I found surprising when I first arrived here and what I had to get accustomed to. Hope you enjoyed my path down memory lane. Many of the things I mentioned in all my videos about what I've experienced in Indonesia could actually apply to many other countries, especially Southeast Asian countries. So if you're an expat or hoping to become one, remember that you'll have a lot of adjusting to do. Take care. Bye for now. Till next time.